Hi, my name is Lane Mitchell, and welcome to Elf Archetypes with John Paul, Morgan Parisi, Andre Chapman, and myself. Have fun.
As a basis of comparison, John Campbell's The Hero's Journey outline is used to compare specific features of each respective story. The Call to Adventure. Beowulf is summoned by King Hrothgar to defend Geatland from Grendel, the monster terrorizing the kingdom. Beowulf decides to go because he knows that he is the only person alive who can help the situation and save the people of Geatland. Buddy the elf chooses to go to New York because he knows that he is the only person who can save his father from the naughty list. He is also the only elf that is capable of spreading enough Christmas cheer to save Christmas. Meeting with the Mentor. In preparation for his journey, Buddy speaks with Santa Claus and Papa Elf, who give him advice for his journey. Santa is a mentor figure because he has been to New York and is very old and wise. This meeting is similar to that between Beowulf and Hrothgar, who is also old and wise. Crossing the Threshold. Buddy had to venture through the Candy Cane Forest and Lincoln Tunnel in order to make his way from the North Pole to New York, much like Beowulf had to travel by sea from Geatland to Denmark. Tests, allies, and enemies. There are many tests and enemies on both heroes' respective journeys. Beowulf's three main enemies are Grendel, Grendel's mother, and the dragon. Buddy also has three main enemies who test him in different ways. They are also man, woman, and magic, like in Beowulf. Those who test Buddy are his father, Jovi, and Santa's magic sleigh. Walter tests his loyalty and ability to effectively and successfully spread Christmas cheer. Jovi tests his ability to spread cheer, but also tests his dedication to Christmas and tries to derail him from his mission to spread cheer. Buddy's final test is Santa's sleigh. When it breaks in Central Park, it is up to Buddy to fix the engine. One of Buddy's most loyal allies is his stepbrother, Michael. Just like Unferth and Beowulf, Michael and Buddy initially do not get along, but Michael ends up being the only one who cares enough to look for Buddy when he goes missing. The Ordeal. When Santa's sleigh crashes in Central Park, Buddy is called upon to fix the engine. This is the point where Michael steps up and goes into town to spread Christmas cheer so the sleigh can fly.
The largest Christian theme in the
Walter
movie
and
Elf is the
Unferth
theme of faith.
are both
Buddy
called
shows
upon
faith in
to
Santa
aid
Claus,
in
his
the
father being
ordeal.
out there somewhere,
This is
and
the most
the general
crucial moment
goodness
in the
of
movie.
humans.
If the park
He always
rangers find
believes that
Santa, he
people
will be
are
thrown
always
in
good
jail
on
and
the
Christmas
inside.
will be
He
ruined.
shows true faith
Not
in
only
always
Buddy's,
believing
but the
when
entire
other people
world's
tell him to
well-being
do
is on the
otherwise.
line.
In
Much like the
Christianity,
Dane's
this relates to the
livelihood
story
lies
of
on
Shadrach,
Beowulf
Meshach,
when he
and
encounters the
Abednego.
dragon.
When they are asked to abandon
Buddy
their
is not
faith in
facing
God,
death
the
like
Book of Faith.
Beowulf, but the fact that
They're
others
put in a
rely on
fiery
him proves
furnace,
the
but God
relationship.
delivers them. They show rock-solid faith,
The
just
reward.
as Buddy the Elf does.
After the sleigh is
This can relate to
successfully in the
Beowulf in
air,
many
Santa
ways,
delivers
but one in
Christmas to
particular
all
is
the
when
boys and
Wiglaf
girls of
does
the
not
world.
abandon Beowulf.
Walter is
He has
removed
faith
from
in
the
his
naughty
leader,
list and
loyalty, and never
realizes that
leaving.
he should be nicer to Buddy. Buddy gets the love of Jovi
The
and they
Christian
move
theme
back
of
to the
searching
North
for a
Pole.
father is very obvious
Buddy's
and
most
prevalent
genuine
in
reward
the
is the
film Elf.
accomplishment of saving
Buddy is
Christmas,
searching
in
for his
addition
real
to the
father,
respect
with
of
faith
the
that
other
he's out
elves
there
who
somewhere,
once
just
pitied
as in
him.
Christianity,
He is
people are
rewarded
called
with a
to have faith
legacy
in
that will
the
be
Father and
fondly
search
and
around
respectfully
his child.
remembered even beyond his death.
This relates to the
This
story
honor
of
is
Beowulf when he tries to
similarly
please his earthly
bestowed
father
upon
and
Beowulf
heavenly father
with
by
his
slaying the
statue that
beast
will
in his
immortalize
faith
him.
and has faith that he will be recognized for it. Lastly, Christianity is shown through Elf through the themes of grace, undeserved love, and using flawed people for a greater purpose. Buddy represents humanity and Santa represents God in these cases. No matter how many times Buddy messes up, Santa always chooses to give him another chance. He always loves Buddy even when Buddy has done nothing for him. We all know that Buddy isn't an elf no matter how hard he tries. This is similar to how we can't ever be perfect no matter how hard we try. God chooses to let us make our own choices and use us for a greater purpose anyway, just as Santa chooses to use Buddy for a greater purpose even though he isn't an elf. This is shown in the movie Elf when this conversation takes place. Santa says, "I need an elf's help." Buddy says, "I'm not an elf, Santa. I can't do anything right." And Santa replies, "Buddy, you're more of an elf than anyone I've ever met, and you're the only one I want working on my sleigh tonight." There's a direct correlation of this theme in Beowulf when again he uses Wiglaf, his weakest warrior, to help beat the dragon. This is a perfect example of grace and undeserved love being shown through using an imperfect person for an important cause.
Buddy the Elf, who is the main character in the movie Elf, is considered to be the hero. Buddy decides to leave the North Pole so he can find his real father. He takes a long journey to New York City where he encounters unfamiliar scenarios. Buddy is faced with many challenges along the way, but he overcomes them all. Buddy the Elf and Beowulf are both considered heroes because they both complete the hero's journey and they experience threats and transformations. Santa Claus and Hrothgar both resemble the same archetype character, the mentor. Santa talks Buddy through the idea of leaving the North Pole to go and find his father. He gives him advice about how the real world works and how it's different than the North Pole. He tells him the way that people act and that the Santas he sees in New York are not him. Santa relates to Hrothgar and Beowulf because he explains to Beowulf when he first arrives what is happening or how Beowulf should fix it. He also teaches Beowulf how to be a great king simply through setting examples. Buddy was under the impression for many years of his life that Papa Elf was his father. When Papa Elf broke the news to Buddy that he was not his real father, he came up with the solution that Buddy should take a trip to New York. Papa brought the idea of this trip, making him the herald. Papa Elf relates to Wolfgar and Beowulf because they both brought the quest and adventure. Walter Hobbs, Buddy's father, would be considered a threshold guardian similar to Unferth and Beowulf. Walter wants nothing to do with Buddy when he first arrives in New York. Buddy is set back by his reaction, where he was expecting open arms from his father. Buddy has to come up with another plan to try and get his father to accept him. The unexpected reaction stands in the way of Buddy's plan to reunite with his father. Michael, Walter's son, quickly becomes one of Buddy's friends. He defends him to his father and begins to spend more and more time with him. They even stick up for each other in a snowball fight. Michael would be considered an ally of Buddy's, like Wiglaf and Beowulf. Both characters stood by the hero's side through the entirety of the journey.
The settings in both the movie Elf and the epic Beowulf have aspects of the hero's journey throughout them. Beowulf begins his journey in Geatland, his hometown where he lives with his people. Like Beowulf, Buddy begins his story in his hometown, the North Pole, with Santa and all the other elves. Both characters begin with a place well known to them that they are comfortable in. The journey each of them embark on will require them to venture into the unknown. It's during this part of the hero's journey that each of the characters experience their call to adventure. Buddy the Elf travels to New York City in the hope that he can find his real father. New York is a vastly different world than the one that Buddy has known his whole life. Buddy doesn't fit in well because everyone views him as an outcast, including his own father. Likewise, Beowulf sailed to Denmark, a place he was unfamiliar with. Beowulf wants to help King Hrothgar kill Grendel. Both of these changes of setting were incurred by a call of action to the characters. Buddy's first few days at his new home in New York can be compared with Beowulf and his men staying in Harrod. Neither of them knew exactly what to expect for their future. This part of the hero's journey could be categorized as crossing the threshold into action. Another important part of the hero's journey would be the supreme ordeal faced by both Buddy and Beowulf. For Buddy, this means helping Santa get his sleigh started again when it crashes into Central Park. This setting shows us the time when Buddy's forced to be most heroic. Beowulf endures a similarly difficult challenge when he is at the lair of the dragon. These two settings show us each hero's defining moment in their journey. Following each hero's outcome from this will determine if they have succeeded or failed during their adventure. The final steps to the hero's journey are the returning with the gift and the road back. After Buddy saves Christmas, he marries Jovi and they visit Santa and the elves at the North Pole. This is the culmination of Buddy since he has returned home from where his journey began, but this time he has fulfilled his adventure. Buddy is now ready for a new part of his life, such as having a family. Likewise, Beowulf's end can be seen as the tower that was named in his honor. Although he had not survived the fight with the dragon, he had saved his people and will be forever remembered by them. Beowulf will be remembered as the king who gave his life for the people and the betterment of his kingdom. In the end, both heroes have come full circle in their heroic journey, and each left a lasting legacy.
I hope you enjoyed Elf Archetypes. Have a great day.